Hey, have you ever stopped and noticed those weird patterns in your life? Attracting the same kind of people or running into the same problems over and over? Well, today we're diving into a spiritual idea that says this is no accident. It's called the law of reflection, and the big idea is that our outer world is just a mirror of what's happening inside us. So let's get into what that actually means. The core concept here is pretty simple, but wow, its implications are massive. The law basically says that everything you experience out there, your friends, your job, your health, all of it, is a perfect, unfiltered reflection of what's going on inside you. And that includes all the stuff you might not even be aware of. So here's what we're going to do. First, we'll break down the basic idea, this mirror principle. Then we'll see how it shows up in our relationships and, get this, even in our own bodies. From there, we'll zoom out to our stuff and even society as a whole. And finally, the most important part, we'll talk about how you can actually start changing that reflection on purpose. Okay, so how does this thing actually work? Well, the principle is that our internal state, our thoughts, our beliefs, and especially those deep down feelings we don't even know we have, they act like a magnet. They literally pull in people and situations that are a perfect match for them. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Think about it. If you're walking around with a bunch of buried anger, you're going to keep running into angry people who just seem to bring it out of you. Or let's say you have this old fear of being rejected. You might find that people just seem to drift away from you for no reason. If you're always beating yourself up in your own head, the world will happily send you people to do it for you. But, and this is the good part, the flip side is totally true. When you genuinely feel secure and happy on the inside, your life just naturally starts to fill up with loving, joyful experiences to match. So the crucial takeaway here is that this isn't just about positive thinking. The idea is that it's a fundamental law of how things work. The universe is literally constantly rearranging itself to give you a perfect snapshot of your deepest convictions. And what that really means is you have way more power to shape your life than you probably think you do. All right, let's make this less abstract. Our relationships, especially our romantic ones, are probably the clearest and most intense mirrors we'll ever have. So let's look at this story about a couple, Bob and Margaret, whose marriage was really on the rocks. Bob was just desperate for some peace. He was so tired of all the fighting. But a wise friend gave him this piece of advice, and it just flipped everything on its head. He realized it was never about trying to change Margaret. It was about changing something inside of him. So this was Bob's dilemma, right? On the one hand, all he wanted was a little peace and quiet, some harmony at home. But what he got, day in and day out, was a total storm of conflict and criticism from his wife. He felt completely powerless. And boom, there it is. This is the law in action perfectly. Bob didn't have any peace inside himself. He was agitated, he was frustrated, he was desperate. And his inner chaos was being perfectly mirrored by the chaos in his marriage. The lesson for him was crystal clear. If he wanted to find peace with Margaret, he first had to find real, unshakable peace inside his own soul. Okay, now let's bring the mirror even closer, because it's not just our relationships out there. Our own physical bodies are incredibly powerful mirrors, reflecting our hidden emotional states right back at us. Our body literally tells our life story. For instance, if you feel deeply vulnerable emotionally, you might unconsciously build a physical layer of protection, like extra weight around your middle. Or think about someone who feels like they always have to guard their heart. They might develop a really broad, muscular chest, like a shield. A person who carries the weight of the world on their shoulders literally develops broad, square shoulders to carry it, while someone trying to shrug off responsibility might develop sloping shoulders, so those burdens just slide right off. So I want you to think about your own body for a second. Is there some nagging ache or pain that just never seems to go away? Well, the law of reflection suggests these things aren't random at all. They're messages. This is where we can kind of play detective with our own experience. It's funny, our language gives us all the clues we need. Got a sore neck? Ask yourself, who or what is being a real pain in the neck right now? Is your back killing you? Who or what do I feel is always on my back? Can't seem to digest your food? What situation in my life can I just not stomach? Suddenly, these physical symptoms become these amazing tools for figuring out what's really going on. Okay, let's look at one more quick story. This is about George, a young guy with huge ambitions, but he felt completely trapped in his career. His business partner was pretty much sabotaging him, and George felt like he couldn't make a move. So one day, George develops this intensely stiff right hip. Now, according to this framework, pain on the right side of the body often links up with men, the future, or your career. And the hips, they represent our ability to move forward in life. Do you see it? George's body was giving him a perfect, undeniable reflection of his reality. He literally couldn't move forward in his career because of this conflict with his male business partner. His body wasn't just hurting, it was handing him the exact diagnosis for his life. Now, this law doesn't stop at our skin. Not even close. It extends to pretty much everything in our environment. So let's zoom out and see how our pets, our possessions, and even the world we live in are also just reflections. You've heard that phrase, people look like their pets, right? Well, the truth might be even deeper. That person who seems super calm and nice, but has a really aggressive dog, that dog might be acting out all the anger that the owner is repressing. On the other hand, someone who feels like a total mess inside but has this beautiful, perfectly groomed pet, well, that animal might be reflecting back the inner beauty they've totally lost touch with. And it's not just living things. Take a look at your car. Is it old, messy, full of dents and breaking down? That could easily be a reflection of how you feel about your own self-worth right now. A clean, shiny, well-maintained car, that's not just about transportation. It's an outer expression of inner value and self-respect. And if we zoom out as far as we can go, we see that our whole society is a mirror. Widespread problems like crumbling infrastructure might reflect a society's repressed emotions. The leaders a country gets, well, they often reflect the collective inner feelings of the people. And the state of a nation's schools, that's a pretty clear mirror of what we collectively truly believe about the value of our children. So if everything is just a reflection, does that mean we're just stuck watching the show? Absolutely not. In fact, understanding this law is the first step to consciously using it. This whole thing is about shifting from being an effect of your life to becoming the cause of your life. So how do you actually change what you see in the mirror? The process is really pretty simple. First, you just have to acknowledge what you're seeing. Look at that difficult person or situation and just accept it as a reflection without blaming anyone, not them, not yourself. Second, you got to look inside. Ask the tough question. What belief or feeling inside of me is creating this? And third, you do the work to consciously change that inner state. And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. This is the bottom line. You can't change the reflection by trying to polish the mirror. Change is always, always an inside job. If you want to change your outer world, you have to start by changing your inner world, your core beliefs, your deep convictions, and your basic attitudes about life. So as we wrap this up, I'm just going to leave you with this one question to think about. Look around at your life, your relationships, your health, your work, your home. If it's all just one big mirror, what is your world trying to tell you about yourself?